أجمعين. We continue the book Adab al-Mashi ila Salah of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala. In the last week we were busy with Salatul Jama'ah, Babu Salatul Jama'ah, the chapter on Salah in Jama'ah. And we mentioned the rulings pertaining Salatul Jama'ah, if someone comes late, what he does, and also if someone comes late and that the sunnah to make Salah with him, giving him sadaqah. And also, if a person comes late and he finds the people are done with the Salah, some ulama mention he still gets the reward of Salatul Jama'ah, still gets the reward, because he came for Salah. طيب, the next point the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala he speaks about is the recitation of the Quran in Salatul Jama'ah. We did previously the recitation in the Salah, but now is the recitation specific to Salatul Jama'ah and the rulings pertaining it. He says, وَلَا تَجِبُ الْقِرَاءَةُ عَلَى مَأْمُومٍ لقوله تعالى وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. قال أحمد أجمع الناس أن هذه الآية في الصلاة. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala he says ولا تجب القراءة, and the recitation is not wajib على مأموم, upon the one who is a ma'mum, standing behind the imam. So the one standing behind the imam is not wajib upon him to recite. He says لقوله تعالى, due to the statement of Allah Most High, وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. When the Quran is recited, فاستمعوا له, listen to it, وأنصتوا, and be silent, لعلكم ترحمون, so that you may be shown mercy. قال أحمد رحمه الله تعالى, he said أجمع الناس, the people have agreement, أن هذه الآية في الصلاة, that this ayah is pertaining the Salah. So when the Imam recites, those behind him should listen. Pertaining this statement of reciting behind the Imam, there are three statements with regards to it. Al-awwal, the first, القراءة خلف الإمام في السرية دون الجهرية. The first statement is that you recite behind the Imam in the salahs that are soft, but not in the salahs that are loud. The second statement is عدم القراءة خلف الإمام في السرية والجهرية, that you don't recite behind the Imam at all, whether the salah is a soft salah or a loud salah. And the last statement is القراءة خلف الإمام في السرية والجهرية, that you recite behind the salah when it's loud and when it's soft. So we have three statements. One statement is you recite, or let's do it in better order, you recite behind the Imam in both loud salahs and soft salahs. The loud salahs are the salah of the night, and soft salahs in the day. And the second statement, you don't recite behind the Imam at all, soft salahs and loud salahs. In qira'atul Imam, qira'atullah. In that case, recitation of the Imam is a recitation for him. And the third case is al-qira'atu khalf al-Imam fi sirriyati dun al-jahriyah, that you recite behind the Imam in the quiet, not when it is loud. So we have three statements. The first statement we mentioned, that you recite behind the Imam in all cases. And here we're specifically speaking about only Surah Fatiha, because the Ma'mum doesn't recite anything else. The one standing behind the Imam, he recites only Surah Al-Fatiha. I'm pertaining the loud salahs, and this is the way the ikhtilaf is. With regards to a soft salah, when the Imam is reciting soft, you can recite after Fatiha something, even if you're behind the Imam. But now we're talking about Fatiha mainly. So when the Imam recites, so the first statement is that you recite loud behind, or often you recite behind the Imam Fatiha when he's reading soft and when he's reading loud. And the proof for that they use is the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. There's no salah for the one who doesn't recite the opening chapter of the book. The second is that you don't recite at all, whether soft or loud. And this is the hadith they use, this ayah, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. And some say, okay, now what about the soft salah? They bring the hadith, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من كان له إمام فقراءة الإمام قراءة له. Whoever has an imam, then the recitation of the imam is a recitation for him. And then the third statement, you read loud. You read when the imam is soft, and you don't read when the imam is loud. And that's the opinion closest to the haqq. Shaykh Albani rahimahullah ta'ala also mentions. Other ulama, they go the safe route. Likewise, Shaykh Abdul Muhsin, the father of Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, hafidhahullah ta'ala, he also said that you recite loud, that you recite behind the imam in all cases. And he brings statement Imam Bukhari that also mentioned that. But as you mentioned before that, it brings about difficulty. The imam having Fatiha, then you behind him. And the hadith pertaining this are various. So the statements or the proofs for each group, they have proofs. But the weakest statement is the statement that says, don't recite behind the imam in all cases. That's a weak statement. And the strongest statements, the two that we can say are challenging one another, is the statement where the imam recites and the one behind the imam recites in all cases. And the other case where he recites only in the soft, not in the loud. And the proof that also they mention is that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day he was reciting, and the Sahaba recited behind him. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told them, when the imam recites, in the recitation of the imam is recitation for you. And in another narration, illa al-Fatiha, except for Fatiha. So recite behind the imam except for Fatiha. And the other ulama, they respond, they say that's when the imam is reciting soft, you can read Fatiha. Is that clear? So whatever the person opinion he takes, he should sit close to haqq. La bas, no problem. It's not an issue we fight over. The Shaykh then says, وَتُسَنُّ قِرَاءَتُهُ فِي مَا لَا يَجْهَرُ فِيهِ الْإِمَامِ. And it is sunnah to recite. Before we continue, so here we saw these statements, the three statements. Okay, what if the person is standing behind the imam, Salatul Asr for example, and he forgets to recite Fatiha behind the imam? Must he make a raka'ah up? Because he didn't recite Fatiha. In that case, you say no. Because there is an opinion that believes that you don't need to recite it. So you don't make a raka'ah up. Then the qira'ah of the imam is a qira'ah for you. And that's why that's the importance of Salatul Jama'ah. It saves you from many things. He said, وَتُسَنُّ قِرَاءَتُهُ فِي مَا لَا يَجْهَرُ فِيهِ الْإِمَامِ. And it is sunnah to recite. Okay, he mentions the statement he mentioned. وَتُسَنُّ قِرَاءَتُهُ. And it is sunnah to recite, meaning the Quran, فِي مَا لَا يَجْهَرُ فِيهِ الْإِمَامِ. In that which the imam is not loud in. So the Shaykh is under opinion what? That you don't recite when the imam recites loud. And when the imam is soft, you recite. He said, أكثر أهل العلم من الصحابة والتابعين. And this statement is gathered from many of the people of knowledge amongst the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. He said, أكثر أهل العلم من الصحابة والتابعين يرون القراءة خلف الإمام فيما أسر فيه خروجا من خلاف من أوجبه لكن تركناه إذا جهر الإمام للأدلة. He said, most of the people of knowledge from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, they have a view, they have an opinion and they view that reciting behind the Imam in that which he recites soft should be done. Why? خروجا من خلاف من أوجبه. To exit from the khilaf of those who made it wajib. Because there are people who make it wajib. If the Imam is reciting soft, then you must recite it loud. Afan, then you must also recite. So when the Imam is reciting soft, in what salah? Dhuhr and Asr. And also the second two rak'ahs of Isha. And the last rak'ah of Maghrib. So all of that, where the Imam recites soft, then you also recite. Why? خروجا من الخلاف. To exit from the khilaf. The Shaykh then says, لكن تركناه إذا جهر الإمام. However, we leave reciting loud, or often we leave the reciting when the Imam is loud. We leave the reciting when the Imam is loud. للأدلة, due to the evidences. And the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, ما لي أنازع القرآن. Why am I being challenged with regards to the Quran? Why am I being challenged? Some Sahaba were behind the reciting. So it's like a challenge. طيب. And also the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ فَأَنصِتُوا. When the recitation is being done, then be silent. طيب, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala then says, ويشرع في أفعالها بعد إمامه من غير تخلف بعد فراغ الإمام، فإن وافقه كره وتحرم مسابقته، فإن ركع أو سجد قبله سهوا رجع ليأتي به بعده. إذا رجع ليأتي به بعده فإن لم يفعل عالما عمدا بطلت صلاة. He leaves the part that he was in, or the position he was in. So when the Imam he finishes going down, the person also goes down immediately. And here there are certain rulings also pertaining this. How long do we wait for the Imam? Do we wait till he says Allahu Akbar, or do we watch his actions, or so forth? Generally, you wait till the Imam is in the position. But specifically in the sujood, many people, because sujood is a long position, you go down long. So many people, when the Imam goes down to sujood, he's not in sujood yet, they're already going down. That's against the sunnah. The sunnah, when the Imam going to sujood, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in sujood completely, then they came. Obviously, in the other positions where you can't see, like coming up from sujood, you can't see the Imam, then you follow the takbir. And the ulama, they say generally you follow the actions of the Imam. But in sujood, you wait till he is in sujood. That's the sunnah. You wait till he's down. Many people, they misunderstand this, or they don't know the ruling pertaining this. So you find someone, the Imam goes down, Allahu Akbar, maybe the Imam is slow. He is in sujood before the Imam, because he followed the takbir. Rather, you wait till the Imam is down, he puts his head down, and then ثُمَّ نَقَعُ سُجُودًا بَعْدَهُ. طيب, make ركوع. وإذا قال سمع الله لمن حمده, when he says سمع الله لمن حمده, فقولوا ربنا ولك الحمد, then you say ربنا ولك الحمد. وإذا سجد فاسجدوا, and when he makes sujood, then make sujood. So the following of the Imam is wajib from the wajibat of the salah, that the person follows the Imam. And the actions, as we mentioned, it must be done after the Imam. He said وَيَشْرَعُ فِي أَفْعَالِهَا, and the person enters the actions of the salah بعد إمامه, after the Imam, من غير تخلف, without delay. Some people, they wait long, especially when you come from sujood. Many people, they want to make long dua still. So the Imam is standing, having Fatiha, he's still making dua in his sujood. It's not permissible. لا يجوز. The person must, when the Imam says Allah Akbar, you follow. When you want to make your own sujood long, you're making your own salah. But when you're following the Imam, you are following. It's a wajib upon you to follow the Imam. And then the Shaykh, he says, فَإِنْ وَافَقَهُ كُرِهِ, and if the person, he agrees or conforms with the Imam in the action, then it is makruh. So as you mentioned now with the sujood, that you go down together with the Imam, or with the ruku', you do it exactly the same time with him. That's makruh. Rather, you should wait till he goes in the action, إِذَا شَرَعْ, when he enters into it, and then you also enter into it. Except for the ruku', the sujood, we said the sujood, he must wait till he is down in sujood, till he is completely down. So the following of the Imam is wajib. Conforming with him is makruh. That's the ruling. الذي يرفع رأسه قبل الإمام أن يحول الله رأسه رأس حمار أو يجعله صورته صورة حمار. Isn't the one who lifts his head from ruku' before the Imam, doesn't he fear that Allah changes his head to the shape of a donkey, or Allah makes his image the image of a donkey? So the Nabi, he threatened the person who raises his head from ruku' or sujood before the Imam, أن يحول الله رأسه رأس حمار, Allah changes his head to the head of a donkey, أو يحول صورته صورة حمار, أو يجعل صورته صورة حمار, or that Allah makes his image the image of a donkey. This is dangerous. So a person should wait for the Imam, wait for the takbir, and then do the action. Some people, and we did in the hadith, now the other hadith of the sujood, the Sahaba, he said, when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would come up from ruku', إذا قال سمع الله لمن حمده, that's the statement. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد, none of us would, لم يحني أحد منا ظهره, none of us would move his back. Today you find that a person comes up, the Imam comes up from sujood, they're sitting between the two sujoods. They find the jama'ah, they preparing for the next, they're going down. like a race. Or they come up from ruku', they're ready to go down to sujood, you're waiting for the imam. No, you must stand up straight. And when the imam goes down, then you go down. There's no, preparing. Not only marks, there's nothing like that. طيب. The Shaykh says, فَإِنْ رَكَعَ أَوْ سَجَدَ قَبْلَهُ سَهْوًا. If the person makes ruku' or makes sujood قَبْلَهُ, أي قبل الإمام, before the imam, سَهْوًا, due to mistakenly. It doesn't do it on purpose. رَجَعَ لِيَأْتِيَ بِهِ بَعْدَهُ. He returns so that he can do it after the imam. So for example, his mind goes away and he hears the imam maybe saying Allah, and maybe he thinks he's going down. Sometimes it happens. And then he goes into ruku'. He sees there's no one here. And then what should he do? He goes back to follow the imam. He doesn't wait the imam to come to him. He goes back and the imam comes and then he follows the imam. رَجَعَ لِيَأْتِيَ بِهِ بَعْدَهُ. He returns so that he can do it after the imam. فَإِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ عَالِمًا عَمْدًا. If he does not do that, meaning he does not return, عَالِمًا, knowingly, عَمْدًا, on purpose, بَطَلَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. His salah becomes batil. Salah is broken. So you have to do the actions after the imam, not before him. طيب. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala then says, وَإِن تَخَلَّفَ عَنْهُ بِرُكْنٍ بِلَا عُذْرٍ فَكَالسَّبْقِ بِهِ. And if the person, he is delayed from the imam. So now we spoke about preceding the imam. So what if the person is delayed from the imam so much, biruknin, that is delayed from the imam for a whole rukn, bila udhrin, with no excuse, fakasabqi bihi, then it is similar like preceding him. Meaning delaying from the imam for is similar to preceding. Example, the imam is in ruku', to get up to catch up to the imam, his salah is invalid. He said fakasabqi bihi. If he doesn't have any excuse, he has no excuse for remaining in that sujood or remaining in that ruku', he's just in that position, then fakasabqi bihi, the sign in qiyam, his mind goes. So now the imam is in ruku' or in i'tidal, people stood up already again. So now what he does, he makes ruku' and he stands up, he follows, he catches up to the imam, catches up. Similar to if, like in the masajid today, we have maybe the mic, someone can't see the imam, or like the woman, they're in a separate place, the imam goes off, the mic goes off, the imam says, Sami Allah al-hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd, goes off for that moment, and now they hear Allahu Akbar. What do? They catch up. Then, however, if the person does not catch up, then it is kasab together. The ruling remains the same. If he does not go to catch up to the imam, his salah is invalid. Then the Shaykh says, وَإِن كَانَ لِعُذْرٍ. If it is due to a reason, a valid reason, he has an excuse. مِن نَوْمٍ, of sleeping. Falls asleep in the salah. Is it possible? Naam, not deep sleep. Sometimes people sleep in sujood, or he sleeps in at-tahiyyat. People are busy with the adhkar already, he's still sitting there. He said, أو غفلة, or heedlessness. His mind went. أو عجلة إمامه, or another purpose, the imam is to fast. The imam is to fast, as you find many times. So there's three reasons the Shaykh mentions. The imam precedes him and he is delayed. Min nawmin, that's the first excuse. Sleep. أو غفلة, or heedlessness. أو عجلة إمامه, or his imam is to fast, he can't catch up. فعله ولحقه, he does those actions and he catches up with the imam. طيب, the imam is to fast, there's two cases here. If the imam is to fast, because maybe the person is sick, he can't move so fast, then he should catch up with the imam. And however, if the imam is so fast that the imam is leaving out the arkan, he doesn't have tuma'nina, then the person breaks off from the imam. He continues salah on his own. Because tuma'nina, as we said, is a rukn from the arkan of the salah. If the imam is leaving the rukn out, his salah is invalid. Whoever's the imam salah is invalid, he breaks off. Because from the shart of someone being an imam is man sahhat salatuhu li nafsihi, sahhat imamatuhu li ghayri. Whoever salah is correct for himself, then his imam is correct for other than himself. So yeah, he's making salah so fast that he leaves out the tuma'nina, tranquility in the positions. His salah is invalid for himself. So likewise, his imam is invalid for other than himself. And what's the tuma'nina? At every position you must become tranquil. ثم اركع حتى تطمئن راكعا. Nabi SAW, he said, make ruku' until you are tranquil in your ruku'. ثم ارفع حتى تعتدل قائما, and stand until you are upright standing. So you must be tranquil in all positions. If the imam leaves out the tranquility, he breaks off. If the imam is too fast for him due to a purpose with him, not due to the imam, maybe he has an injury, whenever he stands up, he takes long, then he catches up the whole time. He has to catch up. طيب. The Shaykh then says, وَإِن تَخَلَّفَ بِرَكْعَةٍ لِعُذْرٍ. And if the person, he falls back from the imam, he's delayed by a whole rak'ah, لِعُذْرٍ, due to a reason, تَابَعَهُ فِي مَا بَقِيَ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ. He just follows the imam in that which remains of the salah. What does this mean? The imam stands in Fatiha. Let's say the person slept in standing. Let's say فرضا وجدلا, for argument's sake. Then the imam goes, salah goes on, and here you see the people coming back to standing with him, and he's still standing. What does he do? Does he catch up quick? No, he continues with him. He doesn't catch up. So if the imam precedes him and he is delayed by a whole rak'ah, he just continues with him from where he stopped. For example, he sleeps in sujood. He finds him again in sujood, and he wakes up. You just continue with him. You don't need to catch up. Naam. And the Shaykh says, وَقَضَاهَا بَعْدَ سَلَامِ الْإِمَامِ. And he finishes the salah off after the imam is complete. Just like someone who came late. So when the imam is done, he stands up and he completes. So just again, وَإِن تَخَلَّفَ بِرَكَعَةٍ لِعُذْرٍ. If the person is delayed from the imam by a whole rak'ah, لِعُذْرٍ, due to a valid reason, تَابَعَهُ فِي مَا بَقِيَ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ. He follows the imam in that which remains of his salah. So in ruku', the imam is in ruku', he forgets, the imam goes on with the salah, and they catch him up again in ruku', and then he realizes he's in ruku' for too long. I don't know how maybe in ruku', I don't know how it can happen, but just say for example. So what does he do? He doesn't catch up. He just follows. The only time he catches up is as long as they didn't reach him the next rak'ah. If they didn't reach him, he catches up. If they reach him with the next rak'ah, he continues, and then when the imam is done with the salah, he completes another rak'ah. Qadaha. He pays it back. Then the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَيُسَنُّ لَهُ إِذَا عَرَضَ عَارِضٌ لِبَعْضِ الْمَأْمُومِينَ يَقْتَضِي خُرُوجَهُ أَن يُخَفِّفْ. And it is sunnah for the imam, إِذَا عَرَضَ عَارِضٌ, when something presents itself, لِبَعْضِ الْمَأْمُومِينَ, for some of the ma'mumeen, some of the people standing behind the imam, يَقْتَضِي خُرُوجَهُ, that necessitates that person having to leave the salah, أَن يُخَفِّفْ, that the imam, he makes the salah light. He lightens the salah. So, if the imam is reading the salah, and something is happening behind that necessitates that some of the ma'mumeen will leave, there's many reasons. The reason in the sunnah we have is the child crying. The Nabi he made the salah fast because he heard a child crying. Obviously the mother is going to leave the salah, so he made it quick for her to catch up. Likewise, if everyone is in salah, for example, you hear the door of the masjid open, someone went to the shoe rack, someone left out again, make quick salah. The imam has to make quick, not take long. Now the person is gone with the shoes, everything, and then we leave the salah. So here what do we learn from? The imam must be vigilant. That's a very important point. Many times a person comes to imam and he's just in his own world. He's cut off from the people. No, you make salah, you're imam, you're leading others. So you must take care of those who are behind you. You must consider them. Not just be in your own world, be holy in front, and everyone is you don't know what's happening at the back. That's not possible. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to consider his Sahaba. He said, وَتُكْرَهُ سُرْعَةً تَمْنَعُ مَأْمُومًا مِنْ فِعْلِ مَا يُسَنْ. And it is makruh. It is disliked. سُرْعَةً. It is disliked to make the salah so fast. تَمْنَعُ مَأْمُومًا. That prevents the ma'moom one standing behind the Imam, min fi'li ma yusan, of doing that which is sunnah. Meaning that the Imam, when he makes the salah fast to accommodate for the people, then he shouldn't make it so fast that he prevents the people from implementing the sunnah in the salah. So fastening the salah when you're Imam does not mean that you make naqr. What is naqr? What is naqr? Picking. You know the salah of the munafiqun, they make 4 rak'ahs, yanquruna arba'an, they pick 4 rak'ahs. So it doesn't mean, al-bid'ah, they understand it like that. They think the Nabi Sallallahu said, you make light for the people, now they pick the salah. That's not permissible. You should make it in a way that they still fulfill the wajibat in the sunnah. And the general rule we mentioned, I think before that, when the person is Imam, he does not make it as long as he normally makes it. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ فَلْيُخَفِّفْ. When one of you makes salah for the people, then let him lighten. فَإِنَّ مِنْ وَرَائِهِ, because behind him is الصَّغِيرُ وَالضَّعِيفُ وَذَا الْحَاجَةِ. A young person or a sick person, one who is in need, and an old person, they are behind him, all of them. He said, وَإِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ لِنَفْسِهِ فَلْيُطَوِّلْ مَا شَاءَ. When one of you makes salah for himself, then let him lengthen as long as he wants. So when you're standing in front, there's another hadith, the Nabi said, فَلْيَقْتَضِي بِأَضْعَفِهِمْ. You should follow the weakest one behind. So the salah of the weakest one that he can catch up, that he can make, you do it according to him. So it's not, we look at the majority, what are you pleased with? Make so long, and then one person is suffering. That's not permissible. You look at the weakest one. Where do you look at the majority? The ulama, they say, in Salat al-Tarawih. In Tarawih, if everyone, majority, they say, we are pleased to make long salah, then this person, he must make a way, he must make another plan. But generally, you should consider the weakest person. طيب. The Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَيُسَنُّ تَطْوِيلُ قِرَاءَةِ الرَّكْعَةِ وَتَطْوِيلُ قِرَاءَةِ الرَّكْعَةِ الْأُولَى أَكْثَرَ مِنَ الثَّانِيَةِ. And it is sunnah, it is recommended to lengthen the recitation of the first rak'ah more than the second rak'ah. So when the person is in salah, the Imam, his first rak'ah should be longer than the recitation in his second rak'ah. Not that the second rak'ah must be longer. Even the first rak'ah is a half page, second rak'ah is 1 page. No, it must go shorter, not longer. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the hadith of Abu Qatada, said the Nabi ﷺ كان يقرأ في الظهر. The Nabi ﷺ used to recite in Dhuhr. إلى أن قال, he mentioned the Salat al-Dhuhr, he said, ويطيل في الركعة الأولى. The full hadith is, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقرأ في الظهر والعصر بفاتحة الكتاب وسورتين. He used to recite in Dhuhr and Asr, فاتحة الكتاب, Surah Fatiha and 2 surahs, meaning for each rak'ah. يطول في الأولى ويقصر في الثانية. You would lengthen in the first rak'ah and you would shorten in the second rak'ah. In this narration, he said, يطيل في الركعة الأولى ما لا يطيل في الركعة الثانية. He lengthens in the first rak'ah that which he does not lengthen in the second rak'ah. So the second rak'ah would be shorter. And likewise, Asr and Fajr and all other salahs. And this is also from the reasons of lengthening the first rak'ah is so the people can get the salah. So the person who makes it, he lengthens it, the first rak'ah. And the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, is a good measure of the salah. How long do you measure it? He said, كُنَّا نَحْزِرُ. We used to count. قِيَامَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. We used to calculate the standing of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم في الظهر والعصر. In Dhuhr and Asr. How do they calculate it? فَحَزَرْنَا قِيَامَهُ فِي الرَّكْعَتَيْنِ الْأُولَيَيْنِ فِي الظُّهْرِ قَدْرَ أَلِفْ لَامٍ مِيم سَجْدَةٍ. So we calculated his standing in the first 2 rak'ahs of Dhuhr as long as reading Alif Lam Mim Sajda. How many sides that? 3 sides in the Uthmani print. So it's as long as reading 3 sides. وفي الأخريين في الأخريين قدر النصف من ذلك. And in the second 2 rak'ahs, half of that. In the second 2 rak'ahs equal to 1.5 sides, 1.5 sides. That's Salatul Dhuhr. وفي الأوليين من العصر. And in the first 2 rak'ahs of Asr, على قدر الأخريين من الجمعة من الظهر, equal to the second 2 of Dhuhr. So the first two of Asr is half, 1.5 page, 1.5 page. وَالْأُخَرَيَيْنِ عَلَى النِّصْفِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. And the two second rak'ah is half of that, which is 3/4 of a page. Is that clear? So in Dhuhr, the first two rak'ahs, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, his recitation of the first two rak'ahs was as long as reading Alif Lam Mim Sajda. Alif Lam Mim Sajda is how many sides? 3. And in the second two is half of that, which is 1.5. And Asr, the first two rak'ahs of Asr was equal to the last two rak'ahs of Dhuhr. So Asr Salah is shorter than Dhuhr Salah. So Dhuhr Salah would be the longest Salah of the Salahs in the day. And then people back must wait, so the people can come in and catch up. طيب ويستحب للإمام انتظار الداخل. And it is recommended for the Imam to wait for the one who enters. ليدرك الركعة إن لم يشق على الإمام, so that he can إن لم يشق على المأموم, to reach the rak'ah, if that does not cause any difficulty for those standing behind the Imam. So it is mustahab for the Imam to wait. If someone enters the Salah, the masjid, and the Imam is in ruku', so if the person, Imam comes from ruku', what must the person? He misses the rak'ah. It is mustahab, the Shaykh says, for the Imam to wait. And then the person comes in and then the Imam comes up. As long as it does not cause any difficulty for the ma'moom, the one who's standing behind. Why? Because the ma'moom is preceded, his haqq is first. He is in the Salah. The one coming is not in the Salah. So the ma'moom's haqq is preceded. Here the ma'moom going, then he's preceded. طيب, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he said, or the Sahabi he said, لا يركع حتى لا يسمع وقع قدم. The Nabi ﷺ would not make sujood, ruku' until he does not anymore hear footsteps. All the footsteps are done, no more walking, and then make ruku'. So wait for everyone to get done in the Salah. طيب, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala continues. وَأَوْلَى النَّاسِ بِالْإِمَامَةِ. So now the next point is about imamah, and who has the right to be the imam, and who has the most right to be the imam. وَأَوْلَى النَّاسِ بِالْإِمَامَةِ أَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ. And the person is most. And then he said, وَأَمَّا تَقْدِيمُ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم أبا بكر مع أن غيره أقرأ منه كأبي ومعاذ. He said, as for the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam preceding Abu Bakr, whilst there was, they gave other reason. They said, لما قدمه مع قوله يؤم القوم أقرأهم لكتاب الله فإن كانوا في القراءة سواء فأعلمهم بالسنة. When the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam preceded Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu for the Salah, he put him forth, whilst he said, يؤم القوم أقرأهم لكتاب الله. The people are led by the one who recites the Quran the best. فإن كانوا في القراءة سواء. If they are same in the recitation, فأعلمهم بالسنة. The one who knows the Sunnah the best. The Hadith. علم أن أبا بكر أقرأهم وأعلمهم. They said it is known from this that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is the best reciter and the most knowledgeable in the Sunnah. So they say that Ubay ibn Ka'b and Mu'adh ibn Jabal and the other reciters of the Sahaba like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and the others, they weren't even close to Abu Bakr even radiallahu anhu, even in recitation. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was the best in recitation and in knowledge. كان أقرأ القرآن وكان أعلم بالسنة. لأنهم لم يكونوا يتجاوزون شيئا. Here he mentions the reason. لأنهم لم يكونوا يتجاوزون شيئا من القرآن حتى يتعلموا معانيه والعمل به. Because the Sahaba radwanullah alayhim, they would not continue to another portion of the Quran حتى يتعلموا معانيه. They would not pass a portion of the Quran that they have learned until they learn its meanings and how to act upon it. The Sahaba weren't like how we memorize today. We memorize first, finish, and then we look at the meanings. The Sahaba radwanullah alayhim, they would learn 10 ayat, learn its meanings and how to act upon it, and they would not go to the next 10 ayat until they learn how to act upon the first. They wouldn't continue. So they took their time in learning the Quran. said, قال ابن مسعود كما قال ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud رضي الله عنه, he said, كان الرجل منا إذا تعلم 10 آيات من القرآن. A man amongst us used to, when he learns 10 ayats from the Quran, لم يتجاوزهن, he would not cross and move on from it, حتى يتعلم معانيهن والعمل بهن, until he learns how to its meanings and acting upon it. The Sahaba, they would learn 10 ayat and they would not cross to the next 10 ayat until they learn how to act upon it and its meanings. وروى مسلم, and Imam Muslim رحمه الله تعالى mentioned صحيح عن أبي مسعود البدري, حديث أبو مسعود البدري رضي الله عنه يرفعه, he raises it. So the hadith is مرفوع. The Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم said, يَأُمُّ الْقَوْمَ أَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ. The people are gathered by, or the people are led by the best reciter of the book of Allah. فَإِنْ كَانُوا فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ سَوَاء. So if they are same in the recitation, فَأَعْلَمُهُمْ بِالسُّنَّةِ, then the one who knows the sunnah the most. فَإِنْ كَانُوا فِي السُّنَّةِ سَوَاء. So if they are same in the sunnah, if there's no one like that, then we look at what? The sunnah. Reciting the Quran the best refers to what? It refers to the ada, the recitation, the nutq, the pronunciation, and the tajweed, not at the Arabic. So we don't look at the Arabic language, we knows Arabic more. You look at how he recites it. Sometimes you find a person, he knows Arabic, he reads the Quran, but he doesn't have tajweed. And there's someone who doesn't know Arabic at all. He just learned the Quran, but he pronounces the things right. Quran, the huruf, he is preceded. Now what if there's two people, both of them are good reciters, but one knows the sunnah more, and who's preceded? The one knows the sunnah more. And then also the Shaykh, he mentions, the Sharih, when it comes to the tajweed, you look at the tajweed which is pronunciation, that's enough. No, proper pronunciation. Not the tajweed that many people deem today. Tanattu', where they go extreme. The person must, he go and told them to go back and teach them. Imagine 21 days only. And they learned a lot, and the Rasul told them, go teach your family. And he said to them, فَإِذَا حَضَرَتِ الصَّلَاةُ, when the salah comes, فَلْيُؤَذِّنْ لَكُمْ أَحَدُكُمْ, one of you should make adhan, وَلْيَؤُمَّكُمْ أَكْبَرُكُمْ, and the eldest of you should lead you. And also with regards to recitation, even if it's a youngster who recites the best, he leads. The Sahaba, it has been narrated that one of the Sahaba, he led the other Sahaba whilst he was how old? 6 years old. So it doesn't matter how young. We mentioned the one who recites is who? The one who is the best reciter. طيب. What if the Imam of the masjid, what if there's an Imam for the masjid and someone comes in and he's a better reciter than the Imam? Who leads? The Imam. And the Shaykh, he says, وَلَا يَؤُمَّنَّ الرَّجُلُ فِي سُلْطَانِهِ. A man should not lead another man in his authority. وَلَا يَقْعُدْ فِي بَيْتِهِ عَلَى تَكْرِيمَتِهِ. And he should not sit on his chair in his house إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ, except through his permission. Because the person of the house, he's the one who puts people where he wants to put them. You sit there, you sit there. Not everyone comes in the house and sits wherever they want. And likewise the Sultan, the one who's the authority in the place, he puts forth. And the ulama, they say it is disliked for someone to go forth while the Imam is there. And the Imam told him to go forth, but he knows the Imam is doing it because he is looking at the Imam in a way like, put me in. It's makruh for him to lead in that case. And also what is dangerous is that someone leads the Jama'ah without the permission and the people are not pleased with him. And the Nasr mentions severe punishment for that person. That a person, أَمَّ قَوْمًا وَهُمْ لَهُ كَارِهُونَ, he leads a people whilst they dislike him. Yeah, we look at the dislike, is their dislike of him valid? Is it justified? If it is justified because he's an evil person, he swears, he smokes, he does all the bad stuff, and then he leaves the salah, people dislike him, he will receive punishment. But if they dislike him due to a wrong reason, then there's nothing wrong upon him. So it's also very dangerous. If one wants to lead the salah, look at his akhlaq, look at his character. All of it must be taken care of. Especially amongst the youth, finish the Quran, maybe you think, nah, I'm going to lead the salah. What if your akhlaq is bad and people don't want you to lead the salah? It's justified. طيب الشيخ يسوي في الصحيحين، يعني عند صحيحين في البخاري ومسلم من حديث مالك بن بحينة. This hadith is from Malik bin Buhayna radiallahu anhu, that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, as I mentioned now earlier, فَلْيَأُمَّكُمْ أَكْبَرُكُمْ, that the oldest of you should lead you. So here we look at also after the deen, you look at the eldest. طيب وفي بعض ألفاظ أبي مسعود, and in some of the narrations of Abi Mas'ud, Mas'ud al-Badri, Uqbah ibn Amir, the hadith you mentioned before, فَإِذَا كَانُوا فِي الْهِجْرَةِ سَوَاء. So if they are same in the hijrah, so we mentioned earlier the hijrah. What did he mention after the hijrah? The age. He said in this hadith, فَأَقْدَمُهُمْ سِلْمًا, then the one who became Muslim first. If two people became Muslim, you look at who became Muslim first. If both of them, they same in recitation, same in the sunnah, same in hijrah, now you look at who became Muslim first. He said أي إسلاما ومن صلى. طيب the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala continues to the next point. That point is clear. That point is three masail. The first is one else. Someone comes in the masjid. We know generally they are students that the Imam knows. They normally go in. Someone comes in the masjid, these are the best recitation in the reciter in the world. He doesn't take preference. Those who the Imam put in charge. Man naba anil Imam. They stand in place of the Imam. طيب. And then the third is also the eldest, we said, is from the things. طيب ومن صلى بأجرة لم يصلى خلفه. The Shaykh, he says rahimahullah ta'ala, ومن صلى بأجرة, and whoever makes salah for a price, is leading salah for money, لم يصلى خلفه, salah is not made behind him. And thus you find many masajid, people read Salatul Tarawih for what? For money. Not even Tarawih, sometimes the Fard Salah. You find the Imam, he says, my contract is only Maghrib and Fajr. So he's leading only Salah for the contract. That's dangerous. The Shaykh says, وَمَنْ صَلَّى بِأُجْرَةٍ, whoever leads for ujrah, for a rent, meaning a price is being paid, لَمْ يُصَلَّى خَلْفَهُ, Salah is not prayed behind him. قال Abu Dawud rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, سُئِلَ أحمد, Imam Abu Dawud, Sulaiman ibn Ash'ath al-Sijistani, he was a student of who? Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala, he was a student of him. He said, سُئِلَ أحمد, Imam Ahmad was asked, an imamin yaqulu, about an imam that says, usalli bikum Ramadan, I'll make salah for you Ramadan, I'll lead you in Ramadan, bikada wa kada, for so much. فقال أسأل الله العافية. Imam Ahmad said, I asked Allah for safety and security. ومن يصلي خلف هذا, and who prays behind someone like that? And that's wallahi, you find it many amongst the youth. I saw this with my eyes. One person, he asked if you can lead here. I told him, yeah, you lead for free. Because just to let him know. So he said, you know what, I need something. So that's dangerous. And he must be told. So sometimes a person, they look for where he can make money this Ramadan. It's like a job Ramadan time for many of the Qurra. Where can I make the most money? It's not permissible. We lead the salah for the sake of Allah. Count yourself, make yourself similar to those standing behind. What makes you different from them? Allah gave you more knowledge, so you're leading them. Faqat. You're not different. Why are they not being paid for praying behind you? Why do you want to get paid? So the person who leads salah, he does not, for Ramadan, he does not ask for any price. Yes, specifically for what? For the one who asks for it. As for the one who is given wealth from the Baytul Mal or the community come together, they give him something, la bas, no, nothing wrong. As long as it doesn't make it a shart. If he says, I make it a condition, you pay me so much, or you're going to give me something for leading, then he's leading for the money. Don't pray behind him. If he leads and he is given money, or he's given wealth, anything, then salah is prayed behind him because he didn't ask for it. نكتفي بهذا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.